So yeah, welcome to Rainbow Road. This is our first developer event, and we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. And yeah, this is mainly meant to be a conference about from developers to enthusiasts. So we're going to talk a lot to talk about a lot of amazing stuff. So yeah, let's get an overview. Let's first talk about what is Rainbow Road. Rainbow Road will be a meeting to happen on a regular basis, and we're going to talk about the general direction we're heading. We want to give you a guideline to find great features for you to work on. So if you don't know what you want to work on, you will find that here. Maybe not. We want to bring the community together. We want to find problems and hiccups and eliminate them. So we want to try to, if you hit any roadblocks down the way when you're coding on a new feature, we want to help you to eliminate that. Yeah, and we won't talk about details in code. We don't want to talk about which variable names to use, which functions to use. This is not the place for that. We want to talk about basically everything surrounding the code. So how does this work? We asked in the form for the application for your contributions, and we will let you know via private message in Discord when you're up next, so you can prepare. Then you just speak within the room, tell us how your feature is going to look like, and basically ask you some questions. You don't have to prepare anything for that. We will ask you whatever we want to know, and if you're wrong, we will tell you. Yeah. If you have any questions, you can ask them via Q&A session. This will look like this. Whenever questions are allowed, it will look like this. So you go to this URL, which I will provide you then in the Rainbow Road text chat, and yeah, then you can enter your questions, and we will try to answer them. And my neighbor just rang my doorbell, but I'm not home. Yeah. So call to actions will be also shared in chat. So if we ask you to fill out a form or transfer us your souls, we will send you the link in chat, and you can take part. Or if you want to take part later, we will write down the essentials afterwards, so you can always do that later. So no worries. All right. Now that my neighbor is taken care of, let's see who this voice actually belongs to, or these voices. Let's start with Air Cookie. I'm sure you might have heard of him.
Once again, I'm Christian, better known to you as Air Cookie. I'm the one who founded WLED 3 years ago. I'm 21, and I'm studying intelligent system design here in Germany. It's a form of applied computer science. And yeah, I made WLED, and I'm very happy that you are all here tonight. And I will interrupt you whenever I disagree with your opinion.
So my name is Jan. You know me in chat as JV Peak or Jan van Peak. I'm from Germany too. Let's better say I'm from Bavaria. It's near Germany. I'm 34 years old. I work as an IoT prototype developer, so I put Wi-Fi into fridges, basically. And I'm going to guide you through this event, and I love the sound of my own voice. So,
your voice is sure it's lovely.
Oh, thank you. Okay, now that you know who we are, let's dive into the community announcements. This is the place for you to tell the community your great news about WLED. So if you have anything to share, now it's too late. You should have filled out the form. Just kidding. If you have any last minute announcements, just let us know. We don't have a fancy slide for you, but hey, we can work something out. And for the first announcement, I'm going to start actually, because we now have a YouTube channel, which you can see right now on screen. It's pretty empty. We got blazing 8 subscribers the last time I checked, which was 2 days ago. And we have 5 videos. So there's room for improvement because we want to get out the word onto the streets how great WLED is to everyone, and we want to show it to everyone. So if you have a friend who wants to know what you're working on in your spare time, you don't have to start explaining, yeah, I'm meeting in a dark room with strangers and we have a look at our code. You just show them the videos, and yeah, that's what you're working on. So that's why we want your videos in there. And if you decide to send us your videos, make them at least 1 minute and a horizontal video, because these upright taking videos with your phone don't look good on YouTube. Preferably good quality. It's not a must, but it's a nice to have. And we will I will send a form into the chat right now as soon as I can reach my keyboard. Whoop whoop. There we go. So if you wanna see your videos about your projects, just let us know, fill out the form, and yay. So for now, that's all the announcements we have. Let's continue right to the meat of the presentation. We're going to announce a slight change in let's say release schedule for the next few releases, and we wanted to let you know. So, Mr. Air Cookie, sir.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about our new mainline development schedule or schematic. We want to have one big main feature per major release. A major release is like 010, 011, 012, those versions, and each release should really focus on one core feature that most people strive to make possible in that release. But also additional smaller features can also be implemented, like new effects or slight changes that can always be implemented via pull requests, or just that's not an issue at all. And also our plan is to build more binaries so that we have every time a new significant change takes place, a pre-release will be made, and the users using binaries instead of compiling from source will be able to benefit from the newest features much sooner, should they choose to do so instead of using the major release.
So basically,
and I hope you like that.
So basically, if you get your ESP cemented into the ceiling, don't upgrade to these minor releases. There might be dragons. Just wait for the stable releases. But if you got the ESP sitting on your desk attached via USB anyway, you can try them out. You can try new palettes. You can try new features, and that's what we're working on. That's what we're trying to accomplish. And let's see, what's the next mainline feature?
Yeah, we already had already decided that the next big feature we want to work on is storage, about how we store settings, presets, and other stuff on this tiny ESP chip, which of course is quite limited in resources, but we have something better planned than the current EEPROM solution.
Yeah, so let's see how this is going to work. So right now we store everything in the EEPROM space. This means all the stuff we store is one huge brick wall like that you see in the video. We want to basically, well, if we try to take out the green brick in the middle, there's a hole. If we decide to insert a bigger green brick, then we have to rearrange everything. So if we decided to, let's say, increase the amount of presets from like 1 to 16, or if we decide to store more stuff with the presets and on the ESP, we have to reshuffle everything. We have to rearrange everything. And now we switch from this basically to this, so we can in the future put everything in the designated space, and we don't have to care about like arranging the addresses in space, but we just can basically move everything into its designated file.
So now the question is, how do we achieve this? We want to achieve this by transitioning from EEPROM to a file system-based approach.
So we take everything, like the configuration, the presets, the macros, and the palettes. Yes, you heard that right, the palettes. We basically take it and move it to the file system. And then suddenly, boom.
And we are in the future, and everything is better than it was before.
So what our main benefit will be that you can add additional palettes to the installation without flashing a new binary. So you can add however many palettes you want to add. You can remove palettes. You can clone palettes if you feel like it. If you want them to have two names. So yeah, this is going to be awesome. And yeah, with that, we're going to enter our first Q&A round. So if you have any questions about that,
just fill out that form.
I will add the HTTPS for convenience. So much to type today. So yeah, let's see if you have any questions. And until then, let's talk a bit about yeah, how awesome it's going to be.
Yeah. In my opinion, the file system will allow us many more flexibility and freedom. For example, right now, presets can only store one single preset that can store all the segments, and all other presets can just store the first segment. And that has been really inconvenient to a lot of you. And therefore, we want to move to file system, and that will allow us to have as many presets, all supporting segments as will fit in a single megabyte.
So Mike asks, so all goes then into the SPIFFS then? Yes and no. Mostly no, because we're looking into using another file system, but basically yes. Most of the stuff goes into the file system, and whatever file system that may be. Am I right?
Yeah, we are not yet decided if we will be using SPI FSF, or if we will be using the newer file system. I don't know what it's called actually, but it has a few improvements, and we have yet to decide which one to use.
All right, we've got another question from Anonymous. Hello, Anonymous. How much space will be file system free up, and is it going to remove constraints? Phew, it's hard to tell beforehand. I mean,
it's going to remove constraints like on the number of presets, number of macros, number of palettes. You can have more of those, which is always great. There will be a bit of an issue with space, and that's that it will not free up code size space. So we will have difficulties fitting this new approach on chips with smaller flash sizes, like the ESP01. For example, the 512 kilobyte versions will not be able to be supported anymore, sadly. And the 1 megabyte versions, we will be able to retain support for those, but it will not be possible to OTA flash them. But the file system change is long overdue, in my opinion, and most users are using the VMOS D1 Mini or Node MCU ones anyways, which have 4 megabytes of flash, and with those, everything will be better.
A little fun fact, we were looking into the download numbers for WLED, and it seems like many people are still downloading the smaller ones, the like 1 megabyte files, 512K files. So we'll see how that turns out. Yeah, but maybe it's just time to move on to bigger controllers.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say with that.
So yeah, Gabriel sent us the question, Is it going to include SD cards or just the internal flash through the file system?
For now, the configuration will and the presets will all only be stored in the internal flash file system. But in the future, we might be looking into SD card support as well. That's not in this release. It's not necessarily the goal, but it could be useful for a future version, for example, also to play TPM2 sequences from the SD card. Some users have wanted that.
Sounds awesome. Anonymous has great questions today. Will it be easily accessible for the end user?
I'm assuming you are talking about the files in the file system, and yes, with the correct settings, these will be easily accessible and modifiable in an online editor.
And also, these will be most likely JSON files, so you can edit them pretty easy.
Yep.
So another question from Scott. I think we already answered that.
Yes, it will, but over-the-air updating will no longer be possible.
Okay, so I think we already answered that one as well.
They will, but we have to move on to improve WLED as a whole.
I can answer that. Will the file system help things like Blade's CMS system? Yes and yes. Blade's CMS system will be run online. I'm afraid he's not here today to talk about it, but then I can tell something about it. But this won't affect WLED on the chip itself, not so much. It will be hosted on the internet, so you can visit the site with the CMS system, and everyone gets to share their presets. But later, more on that later. And but it will be easier to transfer settings and presets to your WLED installation without the constraint of 16 slots to save them.
And also, if you have multiple installations of WLED, which I bet most of you are, then you can more easily transfer settings and presets between those different installations without having to copy over the entire flash memory or having to set the settings on each device manually.
So regarding the size constraints, yes. The D1 Mini will be okay.
Most probably be using a flash layout where we have 1 MB for the code, 1 MB for the OTA update, and 2 MB for the file system. So you have plenty of space for your presets and all of your other palettes and other goodness.
And the last question we received is from Frank. Is it time to move over to bigger controllers? Does that imply you are deprecating support for certain chips? If yes, which ones? I think we need to work out that in detail. We don't know that much about it yet, but
yes, I can say that we will be deprecating support for chips using flash SPI chips that have 512K of memory, because we aren't even fitting WLED as it is now without this new support in them. It's just barely fitting. We have to disable a lot of interfaces for it to work, and it's time to move on from those 512K ones. And the 1 megabyte ones, they will still be working, but no OTA updating for them.
That's pretty sad news. My vacuum cleaner is running one of the 512K ones.
Yeah, I know. Maybe we can still have a transition version where using EEPROM is still possible. So those can be used for a version or two more, but in the long run, really we have to move on from the EEPROM, which of course means that we can really no longer support these flash sizes with all the new features we want to add to WLED to make it more awesome for all other users who are using bigger flash chips.
Yeah, and I think we have to work out these details later on and have to announce them with the next release. But hey, speaking of the next release, Air Cookie, do you have anything to tell us today?
Yeah, I finished version 0.10.0, the next major release. The source is already up on GitHub, and the binaries are also done. I just have to push a button to publish them. So next release is coming up right now, basically.
Woohoo! Awesome. So let's go on. Yeah, let's take a minute to celebrate the new release, 0.10. Thank you, Air Cookie. Hey, want to talk about a bit what's new in this release?
There are a lot of new features, actually. We have a really mesmerizing new effect. It's called Pacifica. It's slow waves that move across the stripe with changing colors and some white peaks. Just try it out for yourself. It looks amazing, and it also has supports for different palettes. In the default, it's a bluish ocean palette, but all other palettes are also supported in the effect. And we have now a new interface support. ArtNet is now supported, which makes it easier to control WLED from DMX streaming controllers like Jinx or Xlights. And there are also many performance improvements and a few minor features. For example, just yesterday I added 2 time zones for Australia. And you can just take a look at the changelog file to see some more smaller details of what got added this release.
We got another question from Frank again. Is 0.10 going to be pre-released as announced in the beginning of the stream?
0.10 is actually released right now. You can go to the GitHub page and download it, but perhaps you want to wait until after the meeting or else you'll be distracted from the new version.
And its mesmerizing effects.
Yes.
Alrighty. So let's go into the next section. I'm going to close the Q&A for now. But if you get any more questions, just throw them in the chat. I just saw one. Yes, I said my vacuum cleaner is using a 512 kilobyte ESP, but not WLED yet because it has no LEDs. It's just communicating to the home automation and turns on all the lights. So, projects. Let's see what we got. The first is Tom Never. Are you there? Because we don't have that much information about this project. So I think that's a no.
Yeah, I don't see them in the list of connected users.
Yeah, me neither. Do you have any information about that?
I don't really have information of what Tom got planned, but Bluetooth support is something we could support on ESP32 you can use it to facilitate different things. But to be honest, we wanted to hear from Tom, and we don't really have an idea what he's got planned, so I cannot really talk a lot about that today, unfortunately.
Yeah, maybe we can add him and maybe he can talk about it later.
Yeah.
Could you do that?
I'll take a look at whether I can get a hold of him.
Awesome, thank you. So the next slide is the big topic everyone was talking about. The audio reactivity channel just blew up in the last few days. So yeah, who of you lovely people wants to talk about what you are working on? Just unmute yourself and speak up.
No, actually, I'll have to unmute them. Let's see.
Okay. Johnny, you can speak.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well, my name is Andrew. I'm from Vancouver, and I've been programming fast LED the past 7 years and got into WLED just a couple of months ago. So Abe Pleshu, his name is Andreas, and he's from Colorado. And I started up a WLED repository not too long ago to focus on video reactivity. And we've been having a lot of fun trying to put that together, adding some animations on that. My specialty is just the animations and basic sound volume reactivity. It's a master's of science in engineering, and he's also got some strong processing background, so he'll be able to add some of the smarts to our animations. So for several, over 100 some odd commits behind Air Cookie's implementation of WLED. I'm hoping over the next while to try and get us up to date sometime soon. So that's what we're going to be doing. We've also got our own wiki up there, and we can go to the home of our wiki. On our fork of WLED, got full instructions on how to install WLED firmwares. Also, lots of information on microphones, wiring, some information on our animations. So we're going to be continuing to play around with this a lot over the next. Any questions?
Yes, I was wondering. I heard rumors that it's going to work on ESP32, but not that great on the ESP8266. Can you tell us something about compatibility? How it
Yeah.
works on every chip?
Okay. So on the ESP8266, what we've tried to do is pretty rely. That's the Arduino FFT library. So though I've been able to get Arduino FFT running with fast LED and WS2812s, haven't been able to do so with all of the overhead of WLED. What we've got is really two sets of animations. The set of animations that I wrote that with both the ESP82 and the ESP32, they're just volume reactive. Then the frequency reactive animations using that Arduino FFT library will only be running on the ESP32. We've got lots of statements to separate the functionality out between will compile no matter form.
Okay, so another question. I will open the Q&A for everyone, so you can ask your questions. Yeah, one question I had was: is it only does it only support microphone input, or does it also support audio line input?
It supports audio line input, and on our wiki we've got some sample hookup diagram.
Cool.
They're not necessarily the only way you can do it, but it's a good starting point.
Okay. Another question. Oh, whoa, that was a bit loud. Sorry. Another question. Is it possible to distribute the audio input from one ESP, which has the audio hardware, to all the other ESPs in the network? Because, like we heard before, many people have more than one installation of WLED running on the network. Will this be possible to distribute it around the network?
That's something we haven't thought about at this point, so we'll have to discuss that and see if and how we could possibly do that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's something I could also help with because I have experience with the UDP sync functionality, and we could like expand that to send multiple packets a second if it's enabled to share the sound data with other ESPs. That could be technologically feasible. We'll have to look into that.
And also,
Okay.
would it be possible to then run the FFT code on the ESP8266, or is this like if you transferred the resulting values of the audio detection to smaller microcontrollers, would they be able to display them?
I don't really know. Could talk about that offline, I think, around with. For myself, got a lot of ESP82 and just a few so we can try to sync, and that works out. And if issues, we'll talk to Andreas and
Okay. Another question.
I was also gonna mention that either Andreas nor myself have very much in the way of HTML or JavaScript background. So adding those 3 FFT sliders that I did was the exercise for me. So, and my background is that's the fast LED, one of the fast LED mods over on Reddit, but everything else is pretty.
Your audio is cutting out all the time. Maybe you can switch to push to talk in Discord. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I don't see how to do that.
Or just speak a bit closer to the microphone.
I'll try that.
Yeah, that's better. Thank you. Do you need any help with anything on that project? It sounds awesome.
Right now, we're going to. I'm going to spend the next few days just trying to merge our code with the O10 release because we're running at 091, and we're just going to try and merge those to try and get up to speed with the release of WLED. So I'm sadly going to be playing with GitHub, Git commands and diffing to see if we can get that all up to speed.
About that, I wanted to say, indeed, if it once your sound reactivity branch uses the same structure and is on the same level as the current master branch, so that they can be merged, that will make it a lot easier for me and us to get it merged, because then, of course, it can be merged directly without having to manually refactor everything. And I agree that it was a bit unlucky with the timing, that there was such a big refactoring in the code while you were working on the fork, because I know that this will cause a bit of extra work. But I'm looking forward to merging the sound reactivity in some form very soon. The sliders are also still your modifications to the HTML UI are something I still have to work out. I don't know how quickly I can do that, but I really love the project and the effects you already came up with, and you put a lot of work into that, and I really love it. I'm very thankful for that.
Well, thank you. Well, we just love the WLED platform. Like I said, I've been playing with Fast LED for years, and this adds a whole deal more of capability than I was even thought possible. So it's an amazing platform.
I'm very happy to hear that.
The issue about the code merging and the bigger code base or the bigger code changes, that's why we also decided to switch to mainline features, so you know what we're working on, you know what's going on in the background, you know what's going to change in the core, and then you can time your changes or maybe wait for some changes in the core. So you will know what's going on in the background, and you won't be surprised by hey, surprise, that there's a whole rewrite of everything. Everything you needs to be reworked. So that's not going to happen anymore, and that's why we decided to go through the route of the mainline features, so everyone knows what's up next. So yeah, I think this is it for this feature. Just one quick question: do you need any more resources? Do you need anything? Did you hit any roadblocks where you said, okay, damn, I need to wait for this part, or I don't know how to do this, I need to talk to someone?
Not really. We're just going to see about the merge right now. Andreas is on vacation for a few days. The one thing I'd like to see that I've talked about with AirCookie is dynamic visibility to the sliders, so we don't have sliders all over the place. It's probably the thing that I'd like to see, but we're on hold waiting for him for vacation.
Yeah, this is also a quick feature I wanted to mention. Dynamically hiding and showing only the sliders and options that are available for each given effect, which will make WLED a lot more user-friendly by only showing those sliders that actually have an effect in the current configuration that is selected, and that will would also make it possible to add more sliders or options like checkboxes but only for effects that need them and not unnecessarily bloat the UI for most other effects which aren't making use of them.
I mean,
So that's basically about it.
okay, awesome. Thank you. And thanks for your great work.
You.
All right, next up is I will close the questions. What you're seeing there is a screenshot of Blade's online preset community. That's what I called it. I added the striped background, but the rest is taken from Blade's tool itself. And what it does is it's a oh, you have hosted it. Cool. So yeah, what it does is it lets people share their presets. So in case you wanted to have an instant seizure, now you can, without fiddling around with the settings and the effects and all that stuff. This is basically calling your WLED installation locally and talking to the HTTP API. And in that way, you can browse through like hundreds of online presets that users uploaded, and you can try them out on your local controller, and then add them to your library, which works once we get the shift to the file system done, because then you can have as many presets as you want. Yeah. This is all I know about this. I think Look at the Shiny does know more about it, but I feel I have it represented quite well. He also implemented a API tester in the background, but this is less of a feature, but more of a pretty awesome and pretty cool development toy. So you can play around with all the settings and all that good stuff, and get output a string, which also can be used in the macros. So yeah, this is basically this. It's a way to test the API calls via a nice user interface.
Look at the Shiny. If you would like to speak, I just unmuted you, so you'll be able to speak if you'd like to. Just
Talk to us.
I will also you have no mic. That's no issue. But thank you for it's great that you also know something about the system. I've also been in contact with Blade, and I really love the system. And he also put a lot of work and engagement into it, because he did the API tester, the local one. Maybe you have seen it on Discord. In the channel, he has been sharing the new versions, and now this online system is a whole step more, because it will, once it's done, allow anyone of you, if you, I don't know if you have to register. We have to still yet to put up the details for that. But you'll be able to share your own presets, and then others can instantly apply them to their WLED instance with just a single click.
Or you can share them across your installations and all that good stuff. And yeah, now it's a Chrome extension, but I feel this should be two projects, just in my opinion. Like one would be the online preset community, where you can share your presets, where everyone can share their presets, and the other one would be the API tester. So yeah, let's wait for a few questions, and Or should we head on?
I still Quinder was asking that yes, it works that way. Well, you will be able to open this web page. In fact, everyone can try it now. The URL is fx.wled.me, and with that, you can just it will prompt you to enter the IP of your WLED controller, and then you can just simply apply the preset you like.
Oh, there are new presets in there. Cool. Oh, the party lights are awesome.
Yeah, that's the one I added.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the instant seizure is my work.
Well, it is a little bit of warning. If you're an epileptic, don't try that one
Yeah.
because it might be harmful to your health. You might get an instant seizure, but that's what the effect name says. So
It's pretty
Be warned.
descriptive. Yeah, pretty great stuff. I really look forward to see this as a community, and maybe we can tighten the integration to WLED so you can fetch your current settings from WLED and store them as a preset. That would be pretty awesome.
Yes, and maybe also in the future this tool can be expanded so you can not only share effect configurations like it is right now, but you can then also share palettes, which is not possible currently, but will be once the file system features are implemented.
Like I said, the world will be a better place once we have the file system.
Yes.
All right. So I see no questions anymore. Let's have a look at the chat. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. By the way, if you didn't catch the whole session, we are recording this right now, so we can share this later on YouTube, and you can catch up to everything you didn't hear, and let us know what you thought afterwards. All right, so where do we go from here? Air Cookie, would you like to tell us a bit about what we have to expect?
As we already talked about, the next big release will really be about the file system integration, and we will be making some groups based on who wants to work on which feature, and each group gets an own Discord channel. We already have this with the sound relativity channel, which has also been already used quite a lot, which I really like. So I will also make such a channel for each bigger feature that more than a single person is working on, so that collaboration gets more effective. And as I said, the next mainline goal is the file system storage. But you can also feel free to work on your own stuff. Just be aware that we are working on the file system, and that the only thing that will majorly change about WLD, no file structure or anything will change. The only thing that will change is the way presets are stored and applied again, and the way settings are saved. Everything else will pretty much stay the same, like the API you use for connecting to the LEDs, like for example strip.setPixelColor. You can rely on all that. That will not change for the foreseeable future.
Guys, please hold back your questions until next, or you can already ask them in the link provided. We will answer them in a minute, but for now, let's see where we're going. So, if you want to build something awesome, which I'm pretty sure you will, then you just can talk to Air Cookie or to anyone else, and just ask, hey, is this going to be interesting for everyone? Should I put this into WLED? Oh, I have a new URL for the for the questions, I guess. Let's all hear my glorious blue switches. So yeah, this is the URL for the questions. So ask away. What I still wanted to say. We will check back with all the different teams and people if they hit any roadblocks in between, if they encountered any problems. So but please be proactive, and if you encounter any problems during development, like, hey, my microphone has died, I think this is going to be a problem, can someone help me to figure out why it died, because I don't want to kill everyone's microphone. Just hit us up. We will try either to help you or to find someone who can help you, like we always do in this community. And on a personal note from me, I just wanted to say I've been to many open source communities, and this is one of the first ones where everyone is taken seriously. Everyone can answer or can ask every question and gets an answer, no matter how often this question was asked in the past. And I think that's great. So thanks to all of you.
Yeah, and I also want to give sincere thanks for all your helpful contributions and your support, and that you all love WLED so much. It really warms my heart to see this getting used so much. When I started the project, it was just like for personal use, but I decided putting it up on GitHub anyways. And I'm really happy to see that it blew up and that you all like it so much like you do.
All right, so let's go to the questions, and we already have one. I think I have a feeling that this one might be for you.
Multi-channel output. Yes, that is another planned mainline feature that will probably be the release after file system or the one after that. So it's in the pipeline, and we will be getting to that quite soon. And not only on ESP32, but if we are lucky, we could also get 2 or 3 channels working on ESP8266. But I need to test it. I cannot yet promise it.
Okay, so you heard it here first. AirCookie promised it that it will work on ESP8266 with up to 16 channels. You heard it first here.
I totally said that.
All right, another question from Frank. Are there any plans for a live API data stream from WLED? Well, there is the live view, but I don't know if it's that what you meant.
No, I believe what he meant is if there is a better API for getting data from WLED than the current HTTP polling, because you have to know Frank. He does absolutely amazing work. He wrote the entire integration for WLED for the very popular Home Assistant home automation software, and such a persistent connection like a WebSockets API would make it easier to retrieve data from WLED with less lag and without causing so much overhead by having to connect to the module over and over again every few seconds to obtain the state. So indeed, a WebSocket or HTTP event API would be a cool thing to integrate in the future as well.
All right, thank you. We got another question from Major. Will we be able to link multiple ESPs together?
I don't really know what you mean with the question, because it is also possible right now with the WLED UDP sync to set the effect on one ESP, and you will be able to every ESP in your room will be set to that specific configuration, and so that's all. In fact, this is possible right now.
But
blinking
what's not possible right now is to have like one rainbow displayed over two instances of WLED with a seamless transition. That's not possible right now.
That's what you meant. I see now. Yes, that is not yet possible, but I will think about how to achieve that in the future.
Yeah, I think this. I have a feeling that this, among other things, among more sync things like the aforementioned HTTP WebSocket stream or the WebSocket or HTTP event stream would be a great mainline implementation. We could call it the chit chat update or something like that. And yeah, so yes. Okay. Oh, there's another one. Anonymous again. What's the status of the MQTT restructure?
To be honest, that has gotten a bit to the wayside and fallen flat. The guy who originally proposed the MQTT restructure and also wanted to implement it, I have not heard from him since, and I did not yet have the time to restructure the MQTT topics myself. So if anyone would like to do that, I would be very happy about your contribution, because I believe even though we are getting more native integrations to more platforms, MQTT is still a really useful general purpose system for getting these to work. To getting WLED to work flexibly with many other services, and it will be helpful to have this restructure. But yeah, I did not yet have the time for it. But I agree that it would be useful to have that quite soon.
And another question from the chat about mesh networking. Have you ever thought about that? Like meshing different ESPs together when you don't have a Wi-Fi router?
I have heard about the meshing, and but I did not yet try it myself actually. I don't know if it will work well for WLED, because if you want to control each instance separately, you won't have a way of connecting to that instance with your mobile device, and you would need some system that passes the message on from one relay node where your computer or phone is connected to, and then pass it on through the mesh network to the other device. And I believe that will be quite a significant development effort, but of course I'm open to plans regarding that. So if you have a nice idea or solution how to implement it, we can go ahead with it. But for now, I believe it is not perfectly suited for WLED, but I'm happy to be proven wrong on that.
Yeah, a friend of mine did actually work with ESPs in a mesh network, and he managed to get a whole, I think it was a 10-story building with a ESP in every flat meshed together with one LTE router in the I think in the uppermost level, and he now can control hundreds of ESPs from LTE with little to no overhead via mesh networking, which is awesome.
Yeah, and also one more benefit could be the main benefit of mesh networking is that not all of the ASPs need to be in range of your Wi-Fi access point. It is enough if just one is, and he will automatically sync the data to the other ESPs. So not every ESP needs to be in range of the Wi-Fi, and range will be a lot better if you have a distributed system with WLED instance all over your house.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty awesome, but that's a story for a later day, I think.
Yeah, there are more pressing features we want to implement right now, like the file system and also multiple pin output for the next or the one after the major release.
File system. Okay, awesome. So let me have a look at the questions. Yeah, I got one more. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Would it be useful to outline what needs attention in WLED and who's working on the various sections? Might be easy. Might make it easier for new contributors. Yeah, that's a pretty good idea. I feel. I think we could write an onboarding page or something like that for new developers, so it's easier to find the way in and to talk to people.
I agree with that. I believe we could like utilize the GitHub projects section better, or like make a wiki page for everyone to be able to edit and like so that we can have a better outline who's working on what and what still needs to be done in WLED to achieve version 1.0, which will be absolutely amazing, and everything you could imagine will be in it. I can't promise that, but it would be useful to have some sort of centralized place for tracking all feature requests and things people are working on, and also some kind of queue what could be implemented next.
But also, in addition to that, I could think of a special segment in the Rainbow Road events, which will happen from now on regularly. We didn't decide yet on the time frame, but I decided we could basically let people ask for help and show off their projects, so everyone knows about them, and then you could basically go up to the people who work on these projects and ask if you can help with that. But yeah, we totally should write that down afterwards and make it a wiki page so you can also read it and don't have to look through like 1 hour of video content.
Oh crap, I just got word that Dr. Z is just testing the new WLED version while we are talking, so I can't watch the stream right now, but I will watch it later, and I'm really happy that he decided to instantly try it out.
He's going to break it.
He's probably is going to break it.
But that's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We know what to fix and what to improve.
On a side note, do you know where he lives?
I know that he lives in the US, but I don't know the state or the town exactly.
Good enough. All right. So, guys, any more questions? Yeah, one more question. When will we have WLED 1.0? It's not tomorrow.
1.0, that's the big number. 1.0, that's my dream. 1.0 means it's no longer in beta, it's stable. And we are still a bit away from that. Like, there are still many features I would like to add before considering WLED, well, not complete, but really completed so that you can have a major finished release. So when the file system support is in and the multiple pin outputs and some other minor features, and the most important aspect, when everything is rock solid and stable, then I believe the WLED would be ready for version 1.0. But considering that even Home Assistant right now is like version 0.109.0 or something, there could still be quite a lot of versions with a 0 in front coming before we can finally have a stable version.
So basically,
1.0.
Once you're confident enough to hypothetically sell this to anyone to use it and not have bad nightmares about how it breaks, then it would be stable and 1.0, right?
Yes, we can't risk it becoming a dragon, and right now there are still a lot of opportunities for it to become a dragon. So it's still a lot of work that needs to be done, but I'm looking forward to the day.
But on the other hand, we are already, I would say so at least, ahead of all the RGB control softwares you can find on the PC market. I haven't seen a single RGB software that is as feature rich and complete and stable and awesome to use as WLED. So that's on the other side.
WLED is obviously a lot more advanced than at least 99% of other LED control softwares. Maybe X-Lights is more advanced than WLED, but that's a whole other use case for like coordinating Christmas lights and everything. So WLED is the most advanced system that's still really easy to like master and to be accessible, both for end users and also I want to make it even more accessible for developers with a new user mod system so that we'll be able to add new features more easily.
And also I want to see you running X-Lights on 4 megabytes of flash memory.
Oh, yeah, that will be difficult, to say the least.
We got another question. We got two questions. One is slightly disturbing, but I like it. So the other one, the non-disturbing one, have you had any thoughts on doing a code jam for helping users that want to contribute but don't necessarily have the skill level to move around the WLED code? It's not necessarily the easiest thing to dive straight into.
I would say we could have like another developer meeting separate from Rainbow Road, because Rainbow Road is really for like it's the high level overview and talks about what we want to work on a major scale. And I think we could have some sort of Q&A session where like everyone where I'll be available and everyone if they are stuck can go ahead and ask questions and I'll do my best to help you out. But of course, even if I'm not around, you can always write your question in the forums or in Discord, and we will be then able to assist you. But I think like mostly it's easier to show something live and by voice than it is by typing. So yes, I believe such a developer code jam style Q&A session would be a really cool idea.
So
laser support?
Laser
There
support.
is already laser support.
Yeah, we already have that. We already have DMX support, and if you have a, well, let's say a cheaper laser, which is controlled by, via DMX and not via, I use the word every day, the other protocol with the 0 to 10 volts analog values over analog wire. Yeah, ILDA it is. Thank you. So as long as your laser is controlled via DMX, you already can control it via WLED, but I wouldn't recommend it because if your laser is anything like mine, it can burn holes into people or copying machines, for instance, and I wouldn't recommend that.
Me neither. And I assume no reliability for any damages caused by you attempting anything like that, just to be clear on that.
Ah, damn.
Oh, I'm sorry. But I don't want you to sue me just because you burned your house down by attaching a laser to your WLED installation. That's way too powerful for it.
I mean, I already did, but all I did was triggering pre-recorded presets. So yeah, that works, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's just not made for that. But yeah, you can already use show lights. I can send a picture of what I've done into the chat. It's somewhere here. 2020 pictures. So yeah, there it is. So yeah, you can already use DMX lights. You need a bit of hardware for that, but yeah, it's pretty awesome. And
actually, speaking of that, Jan is actually the one who contributed to the DMX output.
Psst.
So that's great.
Don't tell anyone, because I have to deal with the problems.
Well, you have to do anyway because I can't deal with them because I don't have a clue about DMX, to be honest.
I will send you some hardware. You will figure it out.
I probably will.
All right. So, guys, yeah, any news on sunrise effect? Air Cookie, do you know more about that?
Yeah, the sunrise effect. To be honest, I wanted to add it for ages, but I never really got around to it because it also requires some. For anyone who doesn't know, the sunrise effect is basically you can set it in an automation, for example, and then like at 7 a.m. or whenever you want to get up, the lights will gradually fade on and wake you up gently. This is already possible with the nightlight feature of WLED, but the sunrise effect is essentially dead with a palette, so that it first is red, really dark red, and then it gets brighter and it emulates a real sunrise. And I want to go ahead and add that effect soon, like so that once as a decorative effect where it just fades up and down and like really simulates a day cycle quite quickly as a decorative thing, but then also that you can set the speed in a way that you can use it as an actual wake up light that is similar to the sun. And speaking of that, this is quite a nice minor feature to add. So this is something we could do not as a mainline feature, but as a side feature that can also be added in the next major release.
So, in other words, you got the job.
Yes, I did.
No, not you. The person asking the question. You got the job now. You can do this.
Yeah, you can do it. I'd be happy if I get a pull request, then I won't have to do it and you'll be able to benefit from it faster.
Cool, awesome. So if you need anything, just let us know. All right, I don't see any more questions right now. Yeah.
I have the feeling we missed the question that was in the chat further up. No. It was just a question that got you. We already answered that. Okay, it's fine.
Cool. So I think if you guys don't have any more questions, now's the time to ask. If not, we're going to close this session. It's been 1 hour. Cool, pretty spot on.
Yeah.
So guys,
I still see literally is typing. Maybe they got another question, so maybe we should wait a moment.
Yeah.
He's asking about
USB controls.
They are asking about USB control. With USB control, do you mean like control via the serial interface, or what can I? If you mean via the serial interface, I don't know how useful that would be because, to be honest, control via Wi-Fi is much cooler. Look at the Shiny also says he would like to see that. Well, we could think about it. Serial control is already possible via the Adelaide protocol, but it's like a real-time streaming thing that is you can use it to have a PC Ambilight. I use it myself, and that's really cool. But also USB control to set effects, and so via the serial interface is something that could be added quite easily, also as a minor feature. But if you would like, you can work on it. And I will probably merge it because it's nice, but it's not something I want to focus on at the moment.
And I got another question from myself. Have you thought about using boards that support Ethernet for WLED? I know it would be called eLED then, but have you thought about that? Because on some streaming stuff, bandwidth is an issue.
That would certainly be cool to have Ethernet support. I believe especially with the ESP32 chip, it already has built-in Ethernet support, and you could support it quite easily. But when we are talking about other boards that are not in the from Expressive, not in the ESP8266, ESP32 series, then I frankly don't know, because we are using quite a few ESP8266 specific network connection libraries, and it would probably be quite a bit of work to port those to be able to run WLED on other boards, but it would certainly be an option. I've also had users ask if it would be possible to run WLED on a Raspberry Pi, and the same applies there. It should be possible, but we'll have to replace a lot of libraries because those are ESP specific.
Yeah, I was more talking about an add-on board to the regular ESP, like an Ethernet shield basically, and then using Ethernet instead of Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that shouldn't be that hard because then the connections should just go over another interface. But as I did not try, I can't really answer your question that well, unfortunately. We'll have to try out whether that works.
All right. So that's what I wanted to hear. Cool.
Also, no, Mike had another question.
Yeah.
He wants to talk about sensors. Maybe Mike, do you want to join us? Do you want to speak? He says we should wait a moment, but about sensors. So what I wanted to say about them as well is really a lot of users have been asking about adding support for some sensors to WLED, like a light sensor, temperature sensor, and even more stuff. And about sensors, I am really not sure yet if I want to add them to the core of WLED, because they will only be useful for really a handful of people. But of course, right now it is quite possible to add your sensors that you would like to use to the user mods. And some sensors that are really frequently used, like the DS18B20 temperature sensor, that's also supported on QuinDOS, QuinLED DIC Uno board. We could think about pulling that into the core and having it there as an optional feature. That would certainly be possible.
Or maybe have precompiled binaries with the user mod enabled or something like that.
Yes, that would make it a lot more user-friendly, so that most people don't need to compile it themselves with the user mod enabled.
Yeah, one thing Frank just said, a lux sensor, so brightness sensor would be pretty handy because this is tied directly to the functionality of WLED. So I could see this one in the core of WLED, but like a temperature sensor is not necessarily tied to the functionality of a light fixture. So this, I have a feeling that this would rather be a user mod instead. But yeah. So Mike is ready, right?
Yes, I'm ready. Hi.
Cool. Hi. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm Mike. I'm from the Netherlands, 60-year young guy. And I was working a lot with sensors, drivers, testing, calibration things on Tasmoto. But now it's a lot of work and many ideas about WLED and sensors. I talked about it today in the afternoon. I think it's GVP. Generally, sensor interface as user mod. And in this interface, you could define the sensors you need as single drivers so that everyone can choose his needs. So as Frank asks about a lux sensor to adjust the brightness automatically, I was testing with it.
How did it go? Did it work?
Very, very basic. The lux sensor as user mod only works. Yeah.
Cool. Pretty awesome. And then you can, from the user mod, you always can influence the brightness of WLED.
Yeah, you can do more things, but I'm too new to WLED to know all the public structures or variables I can access to read and write. Therefore, I think I need a little bit help from our specialists here.
Yeah, and then
That's really also my offer there is like this maybe such a Q&A session, and if you'd like also if it doesn't take like 10 hours but maybe only 2, then we can also make a private Q&A session for that, so I can help you get on track with that.
and also we should write everything down that you feel you don't know and you didn't find in the documentation, because that's one more thing we need to do. We need to improve our documentation because there's so much lacking in terms of documentation, so that you have to search around in the code to know where everything is. And yeah, just write everything down, all of you guys. If you're working on a new feature and you don't find your answers in the place you'd expect them, write it down, send it to us, and we can use this. We can use this to improve the documentation of the project.
One more short thing.
Yes.
Okay, it's not especially user mods. It's a generic thing of WLED. The possible usable LED strips, LED matrix, all these things. There's a little bit information what I'm missing in the wiki. I have read a lot of things the last days, problems with this strip or not, and it would be, think, a good idea, like our compatible software, compatible hardware, to have something of compatible LEDs.
Yeah, I believe we already have such a section, but it's quite hidden in the FAQ, and maybe it would be a good idea to have a dedicated page for that. I agree with that. And on the point of the wiki, remember, if you have something that you feel is unclear and you had to spend a lot of time figuring out, the wiki is open for everyone to edit. So if you would like to add information to that, feel free to go ahead and just add it. It is open, and you can just add the information if you think it's helpful to a lot of other users.
Yes, right. And in the beginning, I asked AirCookie to have a page or 2 pages about software and hardware, and he directly managed to set up these 2 wiki pages, and then we have filled up.
Yeah, I did. And so I believe I don't actually know if I am the only one who can add new wiki pages, and you can only edit them, but I would assume you could also
Yeah.
like create new pages, but I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, we can do that. I added the DMX page myself.
So, and then also, of course, you have to edit the page to the sideboard, to the navigation menu on the right.
Yes,
Yes.
we can add all new pages. Just test it.
Yeah, and we also can edit the sidebar, but I didn't do it until it was released, which is now. But then again, someone was faster than me, which was you, I think.
Could be that I added the link to it. I'm not sure, but yeah.
All right. One more thing in the chat. TP Modding says BTW, the user PCLin wrote a tool for Linux Enigma TV receivers to flash ESP with the receiver directly. Okay. I haven't heard about that. The receivers.
Either, but it sounds really cool.
Yeah, it sounds weirdly niche but cool, like running Debian on an ebook or something like that.
Or running Doom on a calculator.
Oh, that sounds practical to me. I mean,
Yeah. When you're in school and you're bored.
yeah, just rip and tear.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So if nobody has any more questions, I will check the audience tools. No more questions. Cool. So, guys, I think we can wrap this up. If you have any more questions, keep them for yourself. No, I'm kidding. Just ask us. We will be happy to answer every question we can, and if not, make something up. And yeah, Mr. Air Cookie, any last words? Oh, that sounds so dramatic.
As a closing word, I want to remember you. WLED 010.0 is out. Everyone download it, try it out, and spam me with issues if it doesn't work. I know. But as always, I'm really, really grateful to have this amazing community and this opportunity to work with you together to create this awesome software and make it even better in the future.
Yeah, I can second that. I've been here for a pretty short while, and I've been welcomed with open arms. And yeah, it was actually the first open source project I really contributed to, and I really felt the need to contribute to it. So, guys, thank you for that.
Thank you from my side once again as well.
Quick question from Andy LGE, I think it is. Will fx.wled.me stay?
Well, we'll have to ask Blade about that because he's the one who's hosting it and who implemented that. But our plan is to support him with that. So yes, most probably it will stay because it's amazing and we don't want to get rid of it.
But it might move to another place and might be developed further. And yeah, it will evolve like a beautiful butterfly.
Yes. But the link fx.wled.me, this is hosted on my domain, so it will always stay on this link. So even if it's hosted somewhere else, you won't notice.
Awesome. Cool. So I think that's it. Thank you everyone for your attention, for your time, and for your questions. And yeah, we will send out the links to everything, or basically it's one link to the video form to you all later. And yeah, thanks. Bye.
See you in Rainbow Road 2.0 or earlier, if I hope earlier when we are in a Q&A session or like just in Discord. Always feel free. I read every message and I try to reply to as many of them as I can handle in my spare time. So yeah, I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you.